Abshawa Preserve tragedy. It was a quiet Sunday afternoon in September 2014. Dar Patel, a 22-year-old computer science student at Rutgers University, was out hiking with 4 friends. They had decided to explore the Abshawa Preserve, a densely wooded area in West Milford, New Jersey. None of them had been there before. As they followed one of the narrow trails, they spotted a black bear in the distance. It was standing still, watching them from about 100 meters away. Instead of backing away, the group stopped to take pictures. Some of them even took selfies with the bear visible in the background. But the situation changed quickly. The bear began to move toward them. At first, it was a slow approach, almost cautious. Then, its behavior became more focused and direct. It wasn't running, but it wasn't stopping either. The group panicked. They turned and ran in different directions. Dar was last seen running down a separate path. The others lost sight of him. After reaching the edge of the preserve and realizing he hadn't made it out, they contacted the police. A search team was sent in. About 2 hours later, officers discovered Dar's body approximately 60 yards off the trail. The injuries were severe. He had been bitten and clawed repeatedly. His clothes were torn, and the scene made it clear how violent the struggle had been. A black bear was still nearby when authorities arrived. It showed no fear of humans and didn't retreat, which is highly unusual. Officials decided the animal was too dangerous and had to be put down. Daria's phone was found near his body. It was damaged, but several photos were recovered. Among them were images of the bear taken shortly before the attack. These photos helped investigators piece together the timeline of events. The autopsy revealed that none of the injuries were instantly fatal. Dar had died from blood loss. He was conscious during the attack and died slowly. It was the first fatal bear attack ever recorded in New Jersey in more than 150 years. The incident made national headlines not only because of how tragic and brutal it was, but because it had been so clearly documented. A young man's final moments were captured through his own camera lens. Pazajik Forest Incident. Campaign Forest Tragedy. On January 19, 2015, the 30-year-old experienced hunter Julian G. was taking part in an organized wild boar hunt with a group of fellow hunters. It was a routine outing conducted in the Compiègne Forest, northern France, and nothing at first suggested danger. During the hunt, a large wild boar was spotted and wounded by a shot, but instead of fleeing, the injured animal turned aggressive. In a sudden burst of speed, it charged straight toward Julian before he could react. The boar drove one of its sharp tusks into his leg. The impact struck a major artery in his thigh. Blood loss was immediate and severe. His hunting partners rushed to help. They called emergency services and tried to stop the bleeding, but the wound was catastrophic. Despite their efforts and the rapid arrival of medical responders, Julian died at the scene just minutes after the attack. The incident was fully documented by police and paramedics. Statements from those present confirmed that it was a single injured boar, a sudden charge, and one fatal strike that resulted in a violent and unexpected death. Compiègne Forest Tragedy. On January 19, 2015, the 30-year-old experienced hunter Julian G. was taking part in an organized wild boar hunt with a group of fellow hunters. It was a routine outing conducted in the Compiègne Forest, northern France, and nothing at first suggested danger. During the hunt, a large wild boar was spotted and wounded by a shot, but instead of fleeing, the injured animal turned aggressive. In a sudden burst of speed, it charged straight toward Julian before he could react. The boar drove one of its sharp tusks into his leg. The impact struck a major artery in his thigh. Blood loss was immediate and severe. His hunting partners rushed to help. They called emergency services and tried to stop the bleeding, but the wound was catastrophic. Despite their efforts and the rapid arrival of medical responders, Julian died at the scene just minutes after the attack. The incident was fully documented by police and paramedics. Statements from those present confirmed that it was a single injured boar, a sudden charge, and one fatal strike that resulted in a violent and unexpected death. Miss Aniba Park Nightmare. On September 6, 2005, 30-year-old Dr. Jacqueline Perry and her husband Mark Jordan were on a canoeing trip through the remote wilderness of Mississippi Lake Provincial Park, northern Ontario, Canada. Both were experienced in the outdoors and had stopped along a forested shoreline to rest. It was part of a longer backcountry journey they had planned together. While they were on land, a black bear appeared without warning. The animal was not startled by their presence. Instead, it moved directly toward Jacqueline and attacked. The bear seized her and dragged her into the nearby woods. Mark immediately ran after them. Armed with nothing but a small knife, he fought the bear in an attempt to save his wife. He stabbed it repeatedly, managing to drive it away. The struggle left him badly injured, but alive. Jacqueline, however, was gravely wounded. Despite his own injuries, Mark carried her back to their canoe and paddled toward the nearest outpost to get help. Eventually, he reached a nearby lodge and emergency services were called. A rescue helicopter was dispatched, but despite their efforts, Jacqueline was pronounced dead. The autopsy confirmed she had died from injuries consistent with a bear mauling. The incident was fully documented by Ontario Provincial Police and wildlife authorities. The bear was later tracked and euthanized. Mark Jordan survived physically wounded and emotionally devastated. His actions were later recognized by the Canadian government, and he was awarded the Star of Courage, one of the country's highest civilian honors for bravery in life-threatening situations. The story received national attention in Canada not only because of its brutality, but because it was a rare and tragic case of a deliberate bear attack and a real-life example of a man risking everything in an attempt to save the woman he loved. Southern Oregon Forest. On August 18, 2022, a 25-year-old wildland firefighter employed by a contracted forestry services company was dispatched early that morning alongside his crew to respond to newly ignited wildfires caused by lightning in the Southern Oregon forests, Josephine County. The team mobilized before dawn as part of initial containment efforts. By mid-afternoon, around 3:30 p.m., the crew was stationed near the Rum Creek fire region. They had paused on site planning fireline construction and hazard assessments. No active tree cutting or direct work was being performed under the particular tree in question when disaster struck. A seemingly live green tree nearby unexpectedly failed. Unknown to the crew, the tree had sustained internal damage. An earlier lightning strike in previous fire burns had weakened its base. Without warning, the weakened tree collapsed, striking the firefighter directly. He suffered severe trauma and was mortally wounded. Emergency responders reached the scene quickly and he was transported to the local medical center. Despite rapid medical aid, he succumbed to his injuries shortly afterward. A joint investigation by OSHA and OHS-UFACE noted key contributing factors. The hazard tree appeared outwardly healthy, but harbored internal fire damage. No operational activity was ongoing beneath it at the moment it fell, and no prior mitigation had been performed on that tree. Rattlesnake Trail tragedy. In the summer of 2019, two hikers were making their way along Rattlesnake Trail in the Colorado backcountry. It was a quiet, forested area known for its rugged terrain and occasional wildlife sightings. At some point during the hike, the two men unexpectedly came across a black bear and her cubs. Encounters with bears in the wild are rare, but when they involve a mother protecting her young, the risk of aggression increases sharply. Terrified by the sudden presence of the animal, one of the hikers turned and began to run. The other, perhaps trying to follow or frozen in place, stumbled and fell. In the chaos, the bear fixated on the one who had fallen. According to wildlife forensic reports, the bear attacked with force. The hiker on the ground suffered serious injuries. His companion, unable to stop the attack, escaped and later alerted authorities. Help was delayed due to the remoteness of the trail. Despite survival efforts made at the scene, the injured man died several hours later from the severity of his wounds. A forensic investigation confirmed that the bear was a mother and had acted in a defensive pattern common to encounters involving cubs. The victim had not provoked the animal beyond the accidental closeness. Colorado Parks and Wildlife officials later tracked the bear and made the decision to euthanize it, citing the risk of repeated aggressive behavior. The incident remains one of the most serious bear encounters in the state in recent years, a reminder of how a single misstep, even an accidental one, can turn a peaceful hike into a fatal situation in the wild. Resurrection Bay Incident. On February 6, 2003, 35-year-old Kristen Sender, an environmental consultant from Anchorage, disappeared under distressing circumstances in the forests near Resurrection Bay, Alaska. Kristen had been participating in a multi-day personal development program run by NXIVM, an organization later investigated by federal authorities. During the training, people close to her noticed that her mental state was rapidly deteriorating. She became sleep-deprived, emotionally unstable, and at times confused. After leaving one of the sessions early, she vanished. The next day, her vehicle was found near a remote shoreline in Resurrection Bay. Inside, investigators found a notebook containing handwritten messages expressing emotional distress. A search was launched immediately. Authorities scoured the nearby waters and forested coastline, but no trace of Kristen or the kayak she was believed to have taken was ever found. Her disappearance was officially ruled as presumed voluntary, and over time, investigators concluded she had likely entered the water on her own. Although her body was never recovered, the evidence suggested a tragic outcome. The case was fully documented by state authorities, and it remains one of several incidents cited during later investigations into NXIVM's internal practices. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for similar ones and feel free to drop suggestions for the next video in the comments.